No, I absolutely felt when I first really had to grapple with grief in a way that not only I was very aware of, but it was publicly aware. He lost his little brother. Hold to watch how this person like survives and moves in the world. Oh, now his father as well. Like it's, there's this, I was sort of an audience member too in that way of how does this work? How does this move forward? But I definitely felt when those things happened, just like all of a sudden I was dropped into a country where I didn't know the language. And not only did I not know the language from my internal dialogue, I didn't know how to speak to me presently. I didn't know how to speak to my inner child about what had happened. I didn't have any language around how to prepare other people for what I was going through. I just thought I was supposed to get over it and fix it and hope that I don't mess things up and tarnish relationships by the time that happens, and I just felt like I was sort of playing in a casino all the time with all of these emotions and what was coming up for me. And, I didn't know when I would have an outburst of anger or a flashback or, whatever it was, where grief would just totally take me out. And I understand that that is your wedding or that is your big day or your special day, but I also just like cannot move. Today is the day where my body is physically showing me what I've lost. It feels like my ribs are being broken and my heart is literally being squeezed and I cannot move, but I wasn't saying any of that. I was just taking the hit and saying, I was sick, or letting them think I was just, not coming,
Right.
because there's also a part of it that you don't want to let anyone know that it's that bad and that it gets that bad.
Yeah,
Um,
because we don't want to be perceived as weak, especially as men in today's society. Weakness is the only thing as a man you are not supposed to be perceived as. So
right.
it's like, how do you then allow yourself to experience the humanness of those experiences of, not being weak, but feeling your emotions and allowing yourself to experience what you're told you're not supposed to experience. And then be like, okay, well, do I hide this? Do I not hide this? What are people going to think? And it's just like, you're just a human having the human experience, but how do you convey that to
Like
other
sort
people?
of like a Santa Claus complex because I was so young and I had so many close friends and family members that were all sort of the same age. There's just this idea of like, I don't know, subconsciously, I just didn't want them to know how bad it really was to be the brother or the son or to have seen what I'd seen or what I'd gone through. I just like, eventually they're going to grieve and they're going to know. They're going to have the long nights. They're going to beg God for something that cannot happen. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
going to go through these things. And so why tell them now? Why
Mm-hmm.
look them in the eyes and tell them now? And which is so funny because we're saying like you're not prepared, but then I myself, when I first came up against it, the first thing I wanted to do was protect everyone around me from the reality of how difficult it really is to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like, I mean, we're talking, everyone's like, oh, you wrote a book. And I'm like, yeah, 13 years later, 13 years in the grief arena, 13 years of experimenting, of getting to know myself, of finding language, of, communicating. And this is someone who's actively a part of their process. Like after the accident, my job was to stay alive for 2 years full time, so I was just in it fully. And then also like when I went on to build a startup, it was a mental health startup. So my work depended on me understanding these things. And I still feel lost at points.